The Senate passed a measure to table a bipartisan plan to force the U.S. to cease any military operations in Yemen without congressional approval. Some lawmakers blame Saudi Arabia for the 3-year-long conflict in Yemen, which they call a humanitarian disaster, and it is clearly that. The Saudis and their allies in the region point the finger, however, at Iran. I spoke about that thorny issue today and others with the Saudi Foreign Minister, Adil al-Jabir. He's traveling with the Crown Prince. We began discussing how the Crown Prince and the President get along.
They have a great personal relationship with each other. The President also enjoys a very close personal relationship with His Majesty King Salman. Our two countries see eye to eye on all the important strategic issues, and so there's alignment in all of our policies, whether it has to do with containing Iran, whether it has to do with fighting extremism and terrorism, whether it has to do with bringing stability to the region or peace to the region, whether it has to do with the importance of trade and investment. On all of those issues, our policies are completely aligned, and President Trump deserves a lot of credit for taking the Saudi-American relationship to greater heights.
There's concern up on Capitol Hill on a number of fronts, but one specifically is Yemen. Is there a solution to Yemen? Do you see an end to the civil war there?
Yes, we are working on a political solution in Yemen that will end in a stable, peaceful, united Yemen without any Iranian presence and without any presence by Hezbollah. But until we get to that point, we have to make sure that we protect our people, protect our nation. The Houthis have launched more than 100 ballistic missiles at Saudi Arabia, including 2 at our capital city. And so we have to make sure that we protect our people. At the same time, we're very concerned about the humanitarian situation, and we're implementing right now a massive humanitarian assistance program worth over $1 billion with our allies in the United Arab Emirates. We have opened up all the ports and all the seaports in order to allow this food to come in.
Because the pictures and the stories out of there are pretty harrowing. I mean, there's famine and cholera and a bad scenario on the ground that people are talking about up on Capitol Hill, yes. Obviously a lot.
The reason you have starvation in Yemen is because the Houthis lay siege on towns and villages and prevent humanitarian assistance and food and medicine from reaching those areas, and as a consequence people get sick or people starve. The starvation does not exist in the government-controlled areas. The Houthis are the ones who steal humanitarian assistance and sell it to fund their war machine. The Houthis are the ones who knocked out the cranes at Hodeidah airport that disabled the airport for a long period of time. And so it's the Houthis who have taken child soldiers and put them into battle, boys who are 9, 10, 11 years old. It's the Houthis who have laid mines randomly in areas that lead to people being killed and losing limbs and lives because of this. And so much of what we see in Yemen is a consequence of the Houthi actions, and the Houthis are a pawn of the Iranian regime allied with Hezbollah. What they're trying to do is establish a second Hezbollah in Yemen, and what they're trying to do is turn Yemen into a satellite of Iran, and we cannot allow this to happen.
Obviously significant concern about that on this visit, but also Syria. Has Assad won that civil war in Syria?
The tragedy in Syria is not over and will continue for a very long time. Even if the fighting stops, there has to be a phase for rebuilding the country, and there has to be a period where Syrian refugees can go back to their homes. And this can only happen if you have a credible political process. And this is what we and the United States are trying to work on moving forward. And we're hoping that enough pressure can be brought to bear on the Assad regime to seriously engage in these political talks.
Do you think the U.S. is going to get out of the Iran deal, and should it?
I wouldn't be presumptuous to tell the U.S. what it should or shouldn't do, but we support President Trump's policies with regards to Iran completely. We believe they are the right policies. We believe that Iran is a danger to the world. Iran is the chief sponsor of terrorism in the world. We believe that the nuclear deal has serious flaws in it, as does the administration. The nuclear deal, these flaws have to do with the sunset provisions, which expire in about 8 years and will allow Iran unlimited enrichment capability so they can have enough material for a bomb within weeks. This is not acceptable. So if we have fixed the nuclear agreement, and we have serious sanctions with regards to ballistic missiles, and we have serious sanctions with regards to interfering in the affairs of countries of the region and its support for terrorism, then we are in a position where we put Iran on notice that it must change its behavior if it wants to become an acceptable member of the international community.
Do you believe Iran is breaking the deal currently?
I believe that the Iranians are doing whatever they can to try to move forward with regards to their nuclear program. I would suspect that the fact that they have limited the inspections to declared sites indicates to me that they maybe have some surreptitious or covert programs underway. So if your question to me is, do I trust that Iran will abide by the agreement and not become a nuclear power? Absolutely not.
If they do, will Saudi become a nuclear power?
We have said that we will not allow Iran to acquire nuclear capability without doing something in return. If Iran acquires a nuclear capability, we will do our best to acquire one as quickly as possible.
Is that already ongoing?
I would not be commenting on it on television if it were or if it weren't.
We heard the Crown Prince describe questions about the concerns of what happened in the Ritz-Carlton. How do you describe it to folks who have questions about how that all went down?
I describe it as a necessary shock to the system. We tried for years to deal with corruption from the bottom up. It didn't work. In this case, investigations were launched 2 years ago. The investigations discovered wrongdoing. The individuals who were involved in this were brought in and were made an offer. They were told, if you acknowledge your wrongdoing and you return the funds that you stole, you can walk. If not, we will refer you to the public prosecutor, who will put you in jail and put you on trial, which can last a long time, and you will not be able to walk. And so the choice is yours. But most of them signed settlements, gave the money back, most of it, and went home. And those who refused are now detained, and they will be facing the judiciary. The message that went to Saudis is that His Majesty and the Crown Prince will not tolerate corruption. Those days are over, and they will not return again. We were losing roughly 10% of our budget to corruption. And so after this action, we hope it will never happen again.
Finally, what do you all hope to get out of this trip?
It is to go over the agreements that were signed and the understandings that were made when President Trump visited Riyadh, so that we see where we are in terms of the progress we've made. His Royal Highness will be traveling to New York to meet with financiers. He will be traveling to San Francisco to meet with captains of the tech industry. He will be going to Seattle. He will be visiting Los Angeles to meet with people in the entertainment industry, because we're opening up movie theaters in Saudi Arabia, and we're promoting recreation and entertainment in our country, and we want to avail ourselves of the expertise that exists in Hollywood. And His Royal Highness will be visiting Houston to sign off on the $9 billion expansion of a Saudi-owned refinery in Houston. It's a major, major trip, but the idea is he wants to introduce Saudi Arabia to a broad cross-section of the U.S., and he wants to let them know that Saudi Arabia is open for business, that Saudi Arabia is on the move, that Saudi Arabia is changing, that it is dynamic, that it is innovative, that it is young, and that it wants to be America's partner in this.
Mr. Minister, thanks for the time.
نحن نعمل على حل سلمي لكي يكون هنالك يمن موحد بدون أي حضور لإيران وحزب الله، وأيضا سوف نحمي بلادنا وشعبنا، ونحن قلقون حيال المساعدات الإنسانية، ونقوم بتنفيذ برنامج موسع للمساعدات الإنسانية بأكثر من $1 مليار مع حلفائنا في الإمارات العربية المتحدة، وقمنا أيضا باتخاذ تدابير لوصول المساعدات إلى داخل اليمن. وحتى نصل لهذه النقطة علينا أن نحمي بلادنا وشعبنا، فقد أطلق الحوثيون أكثر من 100 صاروخ باليستي على المملكة، منها 2 على العاصمة، وعلينا أن نؤكد على أننا نحمي بلادنا. نحن ندعم سياسات الرئيس الأمريكي ترامب حيال إيران، وهي سياسات صحيحة، ونؤمن أن إيران تمثل خطرا على العالم، وهي المسؤول الأول عن الإرهاب في العالم. ونحن نعتقد أن هناك خللا في الاتفاقية النووية، حيث أن ملاحق الاتفاقية الفرعية التي تنتهي بعد 8 سنوات تسمح لإيران بامتلاك قدرات نووية وامتلاك قنبلة في غضون أسبوع. المأساة لم تنتهي في سوريا حتى مع توقف المعارك، وستكون هنالك فترة طويلة لإعادة الإعمار وعودة اللاجئين، وهذا يمكن أن يحدث فقط في حالة وجود عملية سياسية ذات مصداقية، وهو ما نقوم به مع الولايات المتحدة والمضي قدما للضغط على نظام الأسد لقبول المحادثات السياسية. الرئيس ترامب يتمتع بعلاقات شخصية مع الملك سلمان، ولدى البلدين البلدين توافق حول القضايا الاستراتيجية والسياسات الخارجية، سواء التي لها علاقة باحتواء إيران أو مكافحة الإرهاب أو الاستقرار في المنطقة وإحلال السلام. والرئيس ترامب يأخذ هذه العلاقة بمستوى عال من الاهتمام، وأعطى العلاقات السعودية الأمريكية دفعة قوية لمستويات أعلى.